Peter Cooper's asked the question, how to change a lifelong habitual pattern. Okay, and this is the way I work with habitual programming. You call it patterns, you call it programming. But the way we learn, and we do as human beings have this fantastic ability to learn. And complex things like speaking and reading and writing and driving a car and working complex machinery, we have that ability. And what it enables us to do is to learn something complex and then allow it to become something that we do automatically. And that ability enables us to function at the level that we function as human beings. You know, obviously, I see a lot of clients with habitual problems. I include in those habitual problems cannabis, cocaine, and cigarette smoking, and to the greater extent, alcohol. You know, obviously, there are people who are alcoholics who need need the alcohol to function at any kind of level. But when most of the people that come and see me are people who drink maybe a bottle of wine a night or 3 or 4 cans of beer a night, and it's just become habitual. You know, they can live their life through the day without any alcohol, but of an evening, it's a habitual thing. Well, those kinds of habits, the thing about it is, once it's learned to the point where it becomes an automatic function, something we do without thinking, then we no longer have conscious control over it. I've seen over 20,000 people, I've helped over 20,000 people quit smoking with hypnosis. And some of those people, I mean, I've seen people who smoke 80 a day, but most of them smoke 20 or 30 cigarettes a day. Some of those people have smoked 30 cigarettes a day for maybe 30 years. And I say to them, that's an incredible feat. To try to remember to do something 30 times a day, every single day for 30 years without fail, that's an incredible feat. And you couldn't do that consciously. At some point in their life, it seemed important that they smoked, probably as a kid, because they wanted to fit in or whatever it was. And at some point, or they wouldn't have done this consciously, they would have gone, remind me, I don't want to have to think about this every day, remind me to have a cigarette, blah, blah, blah. And from that moment on, if you like, and it is the best way to describe it is, in that moment, when we learn something to the point it becomes automatic, it's as if we create a part of us then doing that job for us. Most of you drive. And we can remember when we first learned to drive, it seemed horrendous to drive. You know, you had to think about steering, working the pedals, working the gears, looking in the mirror, you know, indicating, all that stuff at the same time. It just seemed overwhelming. And to show you how old I am, when I took my test, and to show you how long ago it was, no, we didn't have a man walking in front of a red flag. That was a little bit before my time. But when I took my test, we still had hand signals. You know, I'm slowing down. I'm going round a corner. It was even worse. But we learn to drive. We get our license, we get our car, and it comes that day. One day, you're driving home from work, you're wondering what you're going to get your kids for dinner, or you're wondering what you're going to watch on TV that night. We pull up outside our house, and you think, how do I get here? Just driven through 3 miles of roadworks, and I can't remember going through them. You've been on total autopilot. That ability to learn something as complex as driving, and then allow it to become something automatic, is phenomenal. And as I said, there are hundreds or thousands of things we can do like that. I play the guitar, not very well, but I do play it. If you ask me to play it, I'll probably have a go. But the thing is, I could talk to you now about habitual problems and play you a tune at the same time. And while I'm talking about habits and how we can overcome them, the part of me that knows how to play that tune will play it. You know, if some of you out there are typing, no, that's a phenomenal thing. You know, you can type a letter while talking to your friend about what you were doing at the weekend. It's phenomenal. So, but once it's learned and it becomes an automatic function, something we do without thinking, then we no longer have conscious control over it. But what hypnosis does, and this is what I think, it's a Freddy theory, if you like. What I think hypnosis does, it gives the operator, the hypnotist, access to that unconscious programming. And so with that access, but the client can go and change that bit of programming. So the part that reminds you to have a cigarette 20 times a day may remind you to have a glass of water instead. You know, it might just do something of value instead of something that's detrimental to you. And once the programming's changed, then the thought of a cigarette just disappears. You know, the need for a cigarette goes, or the need for an alcoholic drink goes. And it's as easy as I've just said. I've seen, as I said to you, over 20,000 people smoking. Generally, I've seen them once, and I've seen them for maybe an hour and a half. And some of those people I've seen groups of 200 people at a time. And I see them once, and they walk away, and they quit smoking forever. And it's easy and it's painless. And so it's the same for everything. Once that piece of programming is changed, and you can do it with self-hypnosis. And today, when we get into the hypnosis we're going to do for anxiety and stress and you know, irrational fear, I will at some point give you an anchor word so you can take yourself back into hypnosis anytime you want, wherever it's safe and appropriate. So that's the proviso. You know, I don't want you to be driving down a road and listen to the word and go into some kind of trance, but wherever it's safe and appropriate to do so, you're going to repeat the word that I'm going to give you as an anchor, and you've got to take yourself back in. And then you can give, as strange as it may seem, you can give your unconscious mind instructions to change the habitual behavior you're experiencing. So I hope that kind of answers that question, Peter. You know, anyone that's doing hypnosis at the moment, if they know how to do parts negotiation, in fact, I'm not trying to sell you this, but if you want to go and buy my book, it describes how to do parts negotiation in there. And even if you're not a hypnotist, then you can, with the words that are in that book, help yourself and help someone overcome habitual program. So that's, you know, I hope that's answered your question, Peter. Are there any other questions before we get going today? Hi, Amanda. Nice to see you. Right. As you can see, I'm squinting because I pretend that my eyesight's good until I have to read something like this. Then you realise I can't see a thing. Trying to break the cycle through relaxation and meditation. Struggle with anxiety from time to time. Still find my body reacts with stress type responses. How can I change my response to life challenges? Okay, that's a question from Linda. She's saying that she struggles from anxiety at the time. We are going to be dealing with it today. But the thing is, you can, you know, when the old way of dealing with fear and phobia was a thing called desensitization. So what they would do, let's say you had a fear of spiders or a fear of needles or whatever. They would show you a picture which would bring up the anxiety response. And then they'd show you a real needle. And then they'd, you know, take you to a dentist or whatever. And all you're actually doing is training your body to be able to cope with that experience. But you're not dealing with the underlying programming, which we were talking about earlier with smoking and alcohol and nail biting, all those kind of things. The program is still running. We can say, I know I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid. But the fact is, your body, as you're saying there, Linda, your body is still responding because you haven't changed anything other than your steely determination to not feel afraid. And it's the same when people go cold turkey on cannabis or cocaine or alcohol or cigarettes. You can be determined not to do it, but the program's still running. And the problem with that is the moment you get distracted, you go back to that habitual behavior because the program's still running. And so today, Linda, I'm going to be dealing with that underlying programming. And I fully expect that from today, any irrational fear, and I'm going to make that proviso, irrational fear and anxiety you've been feeling will be gone. You know, we're going to be talking about anxiety and stress at this point in time, right at this point in the world as we are, you know, on May the 8th, 2020. And there are two kind of ways to develop a phobia or a fear or an anxiety. And one is what I call a one-stop learning. A dog jumps up and bites you, you feel the pain, you see the animal, and your whole brain takes a snapshot of that animal, click, click, and from then on, all your senses are looking out for something that looks like that so you don't get hurt again. It's a one-stop learning. You know, a bee stings you and you see the bee and it hurts you and you feel the pain, you see the bee and click, click, that part of your brain, the amygdala, if you like, that everyone talks about, is suddenly takes a snapshot, and from then on, it's scanning the environment and it looks like that so you don't hurt yourself again. That's what I call a one-stop learning. And there's the other way of learning fear or phobia, and that is kind of flooding. You know, where you have a parent, whenever they see a bee, they flap about and they get anxious for you. And you've not experienced the pain of being stung, and yet you pick up that anxiety from your mum or your dad, whoever it is that's flapping around, and you think that must be dangerous. So you experience that fear over a period of time. You imagine you're going to get hurt, and to your mind and body, the imagination is pretty much the same thing, to be honest with you. Your body will react in the same way. And we were talking about Linda earlier about her anxiety. If you were to ask how she brings that anxiety on, even though she'd say, well, I just feel it, there will be pictures and sounds running in her mind to create that anxiety. And the way we can change that, and there are a few ways of changing it, we can talk about it today, but one of those ways is by changing the modalities, the sub-modalities. You know, if I was to ask Linda, and I can't because I can't actually speak to her, she might want to answer me if she wants to, but if I was to ask her how she feels when she has that anxiety, what's going on in her mind? You know, does she see some kind of picture? And is that picture a coloured picture or black and white? Is that picture a movie or is it a still photograph? You know, is that in the distance or is it close to? Is there sound attached? Is that sound loud or soft? You know, once someone describes what's going on in their mind when they're feeling anxious, that's what we call the submodalities. And you can, as simply by writing down those things, and I'd ask you all to try it if you've got, you know, limiting beliefs or negative thoughts or whatever it might be that are holding you back. Bring up the feeling, because I know you can. Bring up the feeling and then write down what you're experiencing in your mind. And then what you do is this. Let's say Linda was experiencing a movie when she feels anxious, something's actually seeing something moving. You can turn that into a still photograph. If the photograph is up close and you can move it away, if it's black and white, you can turn it to color. If the sound is loud, make it soft. So you can change the submodalities, and by doing that, by changing the picture, if you like, imagine there's a record that always plays whenever a certain situation happens. You can go in and, if you like, scratch the record so it can never play the same way again. If we see something, if we picture something in our mind in a different way, we're going to feel differently about it. And that's how our mind works. So we're going to be talking about this today, and I'm going to run these techniques with you today. And so those are the two ways. It's a one-stop learning. You feel the pain, click, click. From then on, you're scanning the environment for anything that looks like that to keep you safe. Or you can learn it from someone else. Now, the situation we're in at the moment, you know, normally I see people who have phobias or they have irrational fears. This point in time, neither of those things are applicable, because there is an actual danger, there is an actual threat. You know, it's worldwide. So we have to take precautions and we have to do our best to stay safe. You know, listen to the scientists, listen to the medical people, and do what we can to try and stay safe. But unfortunately, because of the access we have to the media, and because there is so many conflicting opinions of what we should do, what we can do to stay safe. You know, some say wear a mask, some say it's not good to wear a mask, some say it's good to wear gloves, not to wear gloves. You know, for the general population, of which I consider myself to be one, the amount of information and different information. You know, we're going to let you out, but we're only going to let you out at a certain point of time, and all of these things. It's a time of stress. So there's a real threat, and that's different to an irrational fear. Now, there is a real threat, but what I'm hoping to do today for you all is to try and allay that fear to some extent. I'm not asking you to go out there and go, okay, well, Freddy said it's okay to go out. Freddy's taken away all my fear, so now I'm going to go out. I'm going to do what I want to do. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about getting some respite from the stress, any anxiety, and any irrational fear that's around it. And you know, there's so many people. We're not just talking in England. I mean, throughout the world. You know, I believe that in the last 2 or 3 weeks, if I remember rightly, I heard the news last night, there are 33 million people unemployed in the last 2 weeks in America. You know, people sleeping on tube trains. It's just horrendous. This is real. That's not imaginary. That's not, you know, they're not just feeling anxious and afraid for no reason. There's a reason. It's the same in the UK. I live in a tiny little seaside town here, and we're just coming into the holiday season. And none of the hotels are doing any business, none of the restaurants, none of the fish and chip shops, well, they are still open, people queuing for half a mile down the road. But, you know, these are real things to be concerned about. But what you don't need to do is to have the excess stress and anxiety that maybe you're feeling at the moment. Because whatever's going to happen, and as hard as this may be, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And worrying about it is only going to take away more. It's going to be worse for you than saying, right, I've taken all the precautions I can take. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, this is how I work. And then I think there's no point in worrying from then on in. Understand that when we think about our past, and I've said this a few times now, the past is a vacuum and it stretches back to the Big Bang. It's a void, it's gone. Even what I've just said right now is now in that void, in that vacuum. It's done, it's gone. The future hasn't happened yet. And we can only imagine what our future is going to be like. But because we do that so often, we react as if it's real. And every now and again, we have to remind ourselves that whatever we're imagining about the outcome of this crisis, where we're going to be, how our job's going to be, what our life's going to be like, you know, all of those things that we're worrying and anxious about, at this point in time, it is just our imagination. It's not real. And so we can't not have an outcome. We can't not, our mind will automatically run to an outcome. We can't help that. But we can decide how we want to imagine our future. Because either way, it's not real. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. My son, my oldest boy, Dean, he lives in Kent and he's got a beautiful house and he's worked really hard for it. He's 48 now. He's worked really hard for that house. And he said to me a few years ago now, he said, Mel, that's his wife, he said, Mel and I have discussed it. He said, and if we just tweak our mortgage, we can pay our mortgage off by the time we're 50. And then in the very next breath, because he's got his own construction company, in the very next breath, he said, but what if the people I subcontract off decide not to use subcontracts in the next 10 years? And I said, well, when was the last time you had a day out of work? He said, I've never had a day out of work. I said, how long have you been subcontracting off this company? He said, 20 years. I said, well, why in the next 10 years will they decide not to use you? I said, you can imagine that and carry on paying your mortgage till you're 65, or you can imagine paying your mortgage off at 50 and living in £1 million house with no mortgage. Which one of those empowers you? Because either way, at this point in time, it's not real. You know, and once we recognize this, and once we recognize that the things that create that anxiety in us and the stress that are keeping us awake at night, at this point in time are not real. I'm not talking about the virus, that's real. And we take our precautions, we keep our social distancing until they say otherwise. You know, wash our hands, do all the things we can do to stay safe. But then once we've done that, and if you're still worrying about these things, then you have to say, okay, I'm doing everything I can, now I can stop worrying. And then you're going to sleep. And if you're sleeping better, and if you're feeling better, and if you're not so anxious, your body responds accordingly. And your immune system will work better if you're not under that stress and that anxiety. So the goal of today, the goal of this webinar, if you like, is to help you recognize the difference between what's real and what's not real. Take whatever precautions you need to take, but then allow yourself the freedom to relax a bit, the freedom to just let go of any unnecessary stress and anxiety. And what I want you all to do, because this, this is only going to be for maybe 3/4 an hour, an hour. I want you all to look at this as time out for yourself. Forget about everything else, just for the next 3/4 an hour or so. Assume that everything else is going to carry on as it was, and just allow yourself and treat yourself, if you like, to this next 3/4 of an hour where you can just forget about everything. And you can listen to me if you want, but I don't mean this rudely. I am not interested in your conscious mind. Some of you have been trying to overcome this anxiety consciously, and it hasn't worked because this is not a conscious process, if you like. This is an unconscious process, a piece of unconscious programming, and your unconscious mind will hear everything I've got to say, and it will take from it what's needed for you to free yourself from the anxiety you're feeling. Okay? And I'm not going to say, I will say irrational fear, and I will say irrational anxiety, because there will, to some point, there will be some measure of irrational fear attached to this. There will be some measure of irrational anxiety attached to whatever you're feeling. And to recognize the difference between what a natural concern, which is what we're going to leave you with, and a fear and anxiety, and then be able to say, okay, I recognize that is just my imagination at this point in time. So I may as well imagine something else, because either way, at this point in time, it's not real. And then start to live in this moment. Most of us either living in the past or we're living in the future, and we're missing the time we have right now. If you've got loved ones, if you've got kids, if you've got partners, then make the most of this time. If nothing else, what this virus should have done is made you aware of what's really important. And one of those things, obviously, is our health, but it's also the relationships we have with the people close to us. Those are the ones that we can't see, we can't meet, and so start living in the moment. If you're continually thinking about what's going to happen in the future, then bring yourself back to now. Remember that whatever you're thinking about happening is at this point in time, it's just your imagination. Bring yourself back to now and find whatever happiness you can right here in this moment. I spoke about this in one of my other webinars for the College of Medicine, where I was talking about a guy called Michael Niels, and he wrote a book called How to Be Happy Now. It's a great book. But one of the things that stuck with me from that book was he said, if you're doing things in order to be happy, then you're doing them in the wrong order. Most of us say it, once I'll be happy when this virus is over. I'll be happy when I get back to work. I'll be happy when my job's safe. I'll be happy when I can go back to the pub. What we're saying when we say I'll be happy when, is that we're not happy now. What I want you to do, and I'm not telling you to not strive for the things you want, but find the things right now in this moment you can be happy about. The fact that you're probably loved by someone. The fact that at this point in time you're fit and well. Those kind of things. Find what we can be happy about now, and then you can live in the present in a better state than you would if all you were thinking about is when you're going to be happy and when this happens. Okay? So, enough preaching from me today. So what we're going to do in a moment, I'm going to hypnotize you. This is the way I see us as human beings, and it's a very simplified way of looking at things, but then I am that kind of person. I believe that your unconscious mind is only ever trying to do one of two things for you. It's trying to give you pleasure, or it's trying to protect you. If you want to go back to the very basics, before we had this frontal lobe, when we were just like any other animal, it would be for procreation and survival. That's how our brain was geared. Okay, so it's still much the same kind of brain. So every one of your behaviors, if you were to dig into it and go down into why am I behaving like this? What is it doing for me? It will be one of those two things. Now, anxiety and stress is not about pleasure, so it has to be about protection. At some point in your life, maybe recently, maybe many years ago, you set up that protective behavior. We said, remind me in this situation, to be aware, to be afraid. You know, and so when we do this work in a while, as strange as it may seem, I am going to speak directly to the part of you that is responsible for that protective mechanism, if you like. I'm going to ask it to explain what it's doing for you, why you're feeling the anxiety and the fear. I'm then going to ask you to go to your creative mind, the part of you that dreams and has ideas and makes plans. I'm then going to ask that creative mind to run, flow and work and come up with lots of new choices, lots of new ways of keeping you and your family safe, well and protected, because it's not going to give that job up. Keep you safe, well and protected, but at the same time allowing you freedom from any irrational fear and anxiety. And the ability to recognize the things you can change and the things you can't change. And allow yourself the freedom from focusing on those things you can't change. But focus on what you can do. Now, providing your creative mind comes up with new choices, I've never known anyone who can't, I'm going to ask that part that runs that protective mechanism, take that new choice and do it for you. And when that happens, I promise you, you'll be unable to experience that level of anxiety and stress you've been feeling. At some point, I will give you that trigger word. So anytime you want in the future, whether it's for anxiety, whether it's to achieve a physical goal or a career goal, a financial goal, you're going to take yourself back into hypnosis, wherever it's safe and appropriate to do so, and then find yourself moving towards that goal, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to speak to the part of you that runs that protective mechanism, ask it to explain what it's doing, then ask it to go and find another way of doing that will allow you to have the life you want and freedom, okay? Keep you safe and protected, but at the same time allowing you the freedom from any irrational fear and anxiety. All you have to do, and I've said it earlier, I want you to just look on this as a timeout. Understand that while I'm speaking to you and while I'm here, you are all that matters to me. Nothing else matters. I just want you to be happy and I want you to be free, okay? So if you're ready to do this, and I'm going to say this now, if the internet, for any reason, the signal goes, you're not going to be stuck in a trance. You will come out of it at some point in the future, right? That's not 3 weeks from now, by the way. You know, it's in the next couple of minutes, okay? You will drift back up. And that chair that you're sitting on will support you. So if you're ready to do this, what I'd like you to do is just get comfortable. Place your hands separately, place your legs or feet flat on the floor if you can, so you can get comfortable. And when you're ready to go into hypnosis, I want you to take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just allow your eyes to close. Only as quickly as you're ready to allow yourself that freedom. That's right. And I want you for a moment to focus on those tiny muscles around your eyes. And I want you to imagine those muscles are relaxing completely. Imagine that's happening as you listen to my voice. Those muscles are relaxing so completely they just won't work. Imagine every word I say relaxes those muscles even more. Imagine that there's nothing you can do about that now, just for a while. Your eyes are so relaxed they just won't work. And let that feeling of relaxation just flood down through your body. Every muscle, nerve and fibre are relaxing. Just for a while. Nobody wants anything. No one expects anything. And there is nothing for you to do but to relax completely. Nothing bothers or affects you. Nothing disturbs you. All that matters is you, the sound of my voice and that feeling of freedom. That's right. Every muscle, nerve and fibre relaxed. Like a handful of rubber bands just thrown on that chair, loose and relaxed. Because with the eyes closed, you can continue to relax now. Although at times you may be more aware of some things than you were before. The sound of my voice, the sounds in the room, the comfort of the chair, certain sensations, the beating of your heart, and the thoughts and images that drift into the mind automatically. Just for a moment, think about the people you love, people that love you. And see those faces, see those smiles, feel that love. Let that remind you of just how loved you are. Your real value, your real worth. And as you feel that love, as you see those faces, every ounce of irrational fear, anxiety and stress starts to dissipate from your body. Because with the eyes closed, it becomes easier to become more and more aware of a variety of things that otherwise may go overlooked or ignored. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, and the alteration of awareness as the mind begins that gradual letting go. That's right. Letting go even of the effort it takes to be aware of exactly where the arms are positioned, or the hands or fingers. Even the effort it takes to be aware of which leg seems to relax more quickly or completely than the other may seem to be too much effort to bother making. But it takes time to experience that letting go. Your own time in your own way, as you begin to learn, even more than before, about your abilities, your capacities to learn as you relax. And the mind begins to drift down toward a place of quietness, a place of peaceful inner awareness, a place that almost seems to give off signals that directs awareness down toward it, into it. More and more comfortably, more and more effortlessly, more and more completely and deeply than before. Where even the effort it takes to be aware of the sound of my voice or the meaning of my words may almost seem to be too much effort to bother making. It's so much easier simply to relax and enjoy that letting go. Because not moving and not speaking makes it easier to not listen to anything other than the sound of my voice. It's so much easier simply to relax and enjoy that letting go. Allowing events to occur in your own time, in your own way. A drifting down. Deeper, deeper, deeper down. Imagine that you're just dropping down through space and time. Nothing bothers or affects you, nothing disturbs you. Deeper and deeper now. 10, 20, 100 times deeper. And as you drift even deeper, my voice and my words will drift with you to become a part of your experience now. Every word I say will take you even deeper into that wonderful feeling of hypnosis. And everything I say now becomes your reality. Every suggestion I give you, you'll act upon, carry out without hesitation, is now your reality. Because you have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. And that unconscious mind, the back of the mind, can continue to hear, to understand, respond to those things I might say without the need for you to do anything at all. It's so much easier for the conscious mind simply to relax and enjoy that letting go. Allowing events to occur in their own time, in their own way. Letting go even of the effort it takes to make the effort that it might take. To tell the exact position of arms, legs, or the entire body now that seems to drift through time and space. That wonderful free floating place of effortless relaxation and letting go. Allowing events to occur in their own time, in their own way. As you drift as a mind, and that mind drifts without boundaries, without borders, and without limits. Just for a moment, see yourself out there. It's the summer, it's the autumn, 2020. You're fit and well, you're there with the people you love, people that love you, and you've got your life back and your freedom back and your health. And I want you to notice the way you move and the way you breathe. Go and step into that body, feel what it feels like to be free. Look back to now, notice all the things you did that kept you safe, that led to that wonderful feeling. And the unconscious mind can allow those changes to occur, while the conscious mind drifts off someplace else entirely now. That's right, in your own time, in your own way, aware of events that occur along the way, as the unconscious mind utilizes that opportunity to alter your awareness and to continue that learning in whatever way is the right way for you. Learning that feeling of letting go, allowing events to occur in their own time, in their own way, as you drift as a mind. That's right. Deeper, deeper, deeper down. Aware of events that occur along the way, as you drift even deeper into hypnosis. And I can wonder whether you're aware that you've drifted deeply into trance. Because the deeper you go, the better you will feel. And the better you feel, the deeper you'll go. 10, 20, 100 times deeper now. Just for a while. Nobody wants anything. No one expects anything. There is nothing for you to do but to let go and relax. And as you drift even deeper, you can use your unconscious mind as a resource that you can learn from and really have an experience now, one that's satisfactory to you. And all that's needed to build a good rapport with the unconscious is to have a line of communication. Sometimes the unconscious communicates by movement. It may be that the eye reflex changes and the eyes flicker to indicate yes, or the head moves slightly, or a muscle twitches involuntarily. That's right, you can try and keep those eyes still, find they flicker even more. It may be that the left hand moves all by itself and starts to feel lighter and lighter, starts to lift up and drift up to indicate yes, or the right arm goes even higher. Only the unconscious mind knows which it will use, because the unconscious mind knows more about you than anyone else. And so as you drift deeply into hypnosis now, even deeper than before, I'd like your unconscious mind. Search through all the things in your life and pick one thing that's been making you anxious, something you felt afraid of, something that's been making you more stressed, one thing that you'd love to be free of, one thing you'd love to feel differently about, something that is of vital and utmost importance to your life, your happiness, your future, your health. And when it's found that one thing, I want it to allow you to know by allowing that signal to occur. And I don't know whether your left hand, right hand, both hands that drift up as the eyes flicker. But you will know before I do as the movement begins. One thing that is of vital and utmost importance to your happiness, your health, your future. Something you'd love to be free of. Something that has been making you anxious or stressed out, that you'd love to be free of. Something that no longer suits you. And when it's found that, I want it to allow you to know by allowing that honest, unconscious movement to begin. And as the unconscious mind searches, the mind automatically moves toward those thoughts and ideas, images that clarify most clearly for you, the very things you know and do that seem to get in the way. Awareness migrates toward things that need attention in the same way animals migrate, without thinking, without trying. They just seem to know when to go, where to go, what to do to take care of themselves. An inner voice, an inner awareness that moves the birds, the animals from place to place, makes them restless, something not right, and draws their attention toward that uncomfortable feeling and sets them in motion. And they move hundreds of miles, thousands of miles, taking care of their young, taking care of themselves. No one knows how it feels to be a bird or a dolphin or a butterfly that suddenly recognizes the time is right for a change, that suddenly knows the exact change needed. But we can relax and imagine how it might feel to gradually or suddenly recognize that feeling, that something needs to change, it needs to change now. And to know without knowing what needs to be done, to be told without hearing by that inner voice, that inner feeling to do this now. And to have actions flow from those feelings, responding effortlessly, automatically to that inner voice that tells us what to do and when and how to do it. You know, to be born with that knowledge, trust that feeling, to be so comfortably aware of yourself that everything becomes easier. Now I'd like your unconscious mind to hand over the signal to the part of you that is responsible for that protective behaviour, that part of you that keeps you safe and well and makes you aware of everything that could possibly go wrong. And when that part has taken full control of those signals, I'd like it to increase those signals so that you understand that it's taking control. And as you become aware of that movement, I'd like to ask that part now that runs that protective mechanism to explain to you what it's doing for you, what its positive intention is, why you've been feeling that anxiety and that stress. And when you fully understand the reason, I'd like that signal to occur so that you understand that you know the reason. And now I'd like to ask that part to go to the creative mind, the part of you that dreams, that has ideas, that makes plans, and allow that wonderful creative mind to run, flow and work and come up with lots of new choices, new ways of keeping you and your family safe and protected, but at the same time allowing you the freedom from any unnecessary stress and anxiety, any irrational fear. Each time it identifies a new choice that it believes will keep you and your family safer and protected, but at the same time allowing you the freedom from any irrational fear and anxiety and stress, so you can have the life you want. I want it to increase those signals so that you understand that it's searching. And I'd like to reassure that part that runs that protective mechanism that it doesn't have to take any of the new choices. It doesn't have to give up the irrational fear and anxiety and stress. It simply has to go in and get lots of new choices for you. And each time it achieves that, finds a new choice for you that it believes will keep you safe and protected, but allow you the freedom from the anxiety and stress, allow you the natural concerns that everyone should have so you can be safe, but allow you the freedom from the irrational fear and anxiety. I'd like it to increase those signals. That's right, it's working brilliantly for you. And as that part searches, I just want you to go out into the future, see yourself out there safe and well, achieving what you want to achieve, having got your life back, your freedom back, and your health. Once again, see the face of the people you love, people that love you. Step into that body and feel that feeling of freedom now. And as you go deeper, deeper, deeper down into hypnosis now, as that part searches for you, as you go even deeper into hypnosis, from today, whenever you want to use your unconscious mind to achieve anything in your life, physical goals, emotional goals, spiritual goals, career goals, financial goals, all you need to do from today is find a safe place where you can sit comfortably and repeat the word relax 4 times in your mind. And on the 4th time of hearing the word relax, wherever it's safe and appropriate to do so, you will instantly go back into this deep state of hypnosis you're in now, where you have access to all your unconscious programming, all your inner strengths, all your inner abilities. From today, wherever it's safe and appropriate to do so, whenever you want to use all the power of your unconscious mind, you just repeat the word relax 4 times in your mind, and on the 4th time of hearing it, you're going to go back into this deep trance you're in now. And as that part searches now, I'm going to repeat that word, and each time I say it, you'll find yourself going deeper and deeper into the most profound state of hypnosis. And I want you to enjoy every moment. Relax. Just feel yourself dropping down through space and time. Relax. Body relaxing, mind relaxing completely now. Relax. Going even deeper. Relax. And from today, whenever you want to use your unconscious mind, you find a safe place, and wherever it's safe and appropriate to do so, you repeat that word in your mind, relax. And on the fourth time hearing it, you'll go back into this deep state of hypnosis you're in now. Now I'd like to ask that part that runs that protective mechanism to pick one of the new choices, the one that it believes will keep you and your family safer and protected, but at the same time allowing you total freedom from the irrational fear and anxiety and stress you've been feeling. Allow you the natural concerns that everyone should have so you can be safe, but allow you total freedom from that stress and anxiety. And when it's made that choice, I want it to allow you to know by allowing that signal to increase. And now I'd like to ask that part to take this new choice, integrate it into your body and mind at a molecular, cellular, neuron level. And when it's done that completely and integrated it completely into your body and mind, I'd like it to increase that signal so that you understand that it's done that for you. And I'd like to thank that part that runs that protective mechanism for looking after you for all this time and making those changes now. And from today, no matter how hard you try, you will never experience those irrational fears and anxieties again. And the harder you try and remember what it felt like to be anxious or afraid, further away that anxiety goes. From today, no matter how hard you try, you will never experience those irrational fears and anxiety and stress again. And the harder you try and remember what it felt like, the further away it goes. And I know that you're going to enjoy being happily unconcerned, unable to remember to be afraid or anxious, because now you're going to enter every day knowing you're protected, knowing you're loved. Just for a moment, once again, see those faces of the people you love, people that love you, friends, family, and feel that love now. Now feel it like a burning hot sun in the summer sky. Picture those faces, picture those smiles, feel that love. Feel like a burning hot sun in the summer sky. Shrink it down to a white hot ball of light as big as a golf ball and pull it into the very core of your being and feel that incredible force of love, light and joy emanating out through every cell, every fiber, into the very marrow of your bones. Feel it flooding your body with that light and love, pushing out every ounce of stress and anxiety. Feel it now. Feel that feeling flooding your body. I'd like to thank that part that runs that protective mechanism for looking after you, making those changes now. And I know you're going to remember it thoroughly later on. It may be interesting to think about what you've experienced this afternoon, the thoughts, the understandings, the learnings, and how you're going to use these things from one day to the next. Because you have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. And those two minds will learn from your experiences here today some things that you can utilize to deal more effectively with those things that have been a problem before. And so it's your privilege. Use this experience. Use this time. Think about the things you can do. Strengths, abilities, skills, the love you may have overlooked before that will allow you the freedom to be everything you want to be for the people you love. And feel that feeling now. Go with your unconscious often as you need to know that you're free. Free of every ounce of stress and anxiety. Free to live, free to be safe, and have that life you want. It's easy to forget. We put our keys down sometimes, we forget where we put them. It's easy to forget. And you will forget to remember to be anxious or stressed. And I don't know, it would be 5 minutes from now, an hour from now, or 10 years from now, when you suddenly realize you've been thinking about something else entirely. And every ounce of the irrational fear and anxiety and stress disappeared right here, right now, replaced by a feeling of freedom. Just the natural concern that everyone should have. And from tonight, when you feel the comfort of your bed, the security of your bed, the coolness of your pillowcase, you can repeat the word relax in your mind, and you will drift into the most profound, deep, wonderful sleep to awaken in the morning energized. From tonight, whenever you get into your bed and feel the security of your bed, the comfort of that bed and the coolness of that pillowcase. You repeat that word, relax. And on the 4th time you're going to go into the most profound, wonderful, deep sleep, re-energizing, to awaken in the morning, re-energized, feeling absolutely wonderful. So go over your unconscious often as you need to know that you're free. Free of the stress and anxiety, free to be. Only when the unconscious mind knows and has made those changes completely and allows the conscious mind to accept the changes made. Because in a while I'm going to count to 10. Every suggestion I've given you, you'll act upon and carry out without hesitation is now your reality. On 8, your eyes will open. You're going to feel incredible, like you've had a ton weight lifted, like you've had the blinkers removed. And the harder you try and remember what it felt like to be stressed, the calmer you become. All will be left is a natural concern that will keep you and your family safe. And on 10, that wonderful feeling of freedom is going to grow stronger day by day. As you keep your health and well-being, as you strengthen your immune system by allowing yourself to relax, allowing yourself to enjoy your life and find the happiness in the moment right now. So once again, in a moment I'm going to count to 10. On 8, your eyes open. You are going to feel incredible. And on 10, that feeling of calm, that calm inner confidence is going to continue day by day as you stay safe and work your way toward that goal of freedom once again. 1, feeling absolutely wonderful now. 2, to achieve all the things you want to achieve for your family and for yourself and do it brilliantly. 3, feeling freedom from every ounce of irrational fear and anxiety. 4, feel the force of that love and energy through every cell, every fibre of your body, flooding your body now. 5, feeling incredibly alive. 6, 7, 8, eyes opening, feeling absolutely incredible. 9, 10. Okay, I want you to try and feel that anxiety now and find you cannot. Try and remember what it felt like to be stressed and find you cannot. On a scale of 0 to 10, where's that anxiety and stress gone now? And the harder you try and remember what it felt like, the further away it goes. All that's left is a feeling, the natural concern that we should all have. Oh, thanks, Maya. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Camille, a 0, great. I'm glad you're free of any stress and anxiety. Just enjoy, okay? But understand, from today, you now have the ability to do this. And I'm going to do this for you. We've got another 10 minutes before 5 o'clock, if you like, 5 o'clock UK anyway. So I want you to do this now, so that you understand you can do this. I'm going to bring you out of this, so don't worry about that, okay? Just what we do now is get back into the position where you were a moment ago. Once again, take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, allow your eyes to close. And just in your own mind, repeat the word relax. And you'll find that as you do that, on the 4th time of hearing it, you're going to go all the way back in to that wonderful state of hypnosis. That's right. Deeper, deeper, deeper down now. Just for these next few seconds or minutes, nothing else matters except for you and that feeling of freedom. And the deeper you go, the better you're going to feel. And understand that you've just taken yourself into hypnosis in moments. And there are only a handful of people on the planet can do what you've just learned to do. And the power you're going to get from it's going to be immense. Now, there are 2 rules. As you go deeper and deeper, you're going to remember these 2 rules. When you use self-hypnosis, you must state what you want in the positive. So I want to be fit and well, as opposed to I don't want to be ill. I want to succeed, as opposed to I don't want to fail. I want to be happy, as opposed to I don't want to be unhappy. So the first rule is you must state what you want in the positive. And give yourself a time. So I've got 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it's time you can afford yourself to stay in that state of hypnosis. You will come out of it on exactly the second that you say you want to come out of it. So you state what you want in the positive and you give yourself a time. Now, if you need to come out of it rapidly, for whatever reason, the doorbell goes, the phone rings, you have to answer it, all you need to do is just count from 1 to 5. So when you're ready to come back up, feeling absolutely incredible, unable to experience any stress or anxiety, I want you to just count from 1 to 5. And you'll find yourself just drifting back up, probably with a smile on your face and a wonderful feeling of freedom. So go ahead, take your time, count from 1 to 5, and you'll drift back up. Understand, there are only a handful of people on this planet can do what you just learned to do. So if in the future you feel any stress, any anxiety, you can just say, I've got 2 minutes. I want my unconscious mind to let go of this stress and anxiety. You sit comfortably, you repeat the word relax, you go in, and on 2 minutes your eyes will open and you'll be unable to experience that stress and anxiety. This is a wonderful tool. You don't have to limit it to things that you want to be free of. You can use it for the things you want to achieve. You've got a physical goal, exactly the same thing, go in, use the word relax, and then say, I want my unconscious mind to achieve this for me, and state the goal in the positive. If you have the time, visualize yourself achieving the goal, and then go and step into that body, if you like, and feel what it feels like. You know, see what you see, hear what you hear, feel what you feel. So your brain has a very clear picture of what you want, and then state it in the positive. I want my unconscious mind to make this happen for me. And then you can forget about it, because then it's just working. As we spoke at the very beginning about Peter and programming, that you can reprogram your mind to achieve these goals for you. And then you can just get on with your day, because you'll find yourself just working toward that goal. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed today. I am running one of these every Friday for the College of Medicine. If you're not already a member of the College of Medicine and Integrated Health, I would suggest you go and visit their website. It's a brilliant organisation. And I honestly believe that the College of Medicine and Integrated Health are doing more to bring the medical world and the alternative therapy world together than anyone else on the planet. So have a look at that. If you're into hypnosis, EFT, a lot of these other techniques, then you can go. They're going to be running training on these things throughout the year. Just go and have a look. They're fantastic. And the information you'll get from them is worth everything to you as a person, okay? So I wish you all the best. Stay safe. Keep your distance. As much as I'd like to give you all a hug, if you see me, you know, beat and a half, that'd do. But so if you have any questions, you can ask me. You know, visit my website, see what I do. I've got a book out, as you can see. If you're interested in hypnotherapy, that's out as a paperback. It's also out as an Audible book. So if you're like me and you fall asleep when you read, get the Audible book. But you know, all the stuff that I teach is in there, and you'll probably recognise some of the words if you've been on these webinars for the last few weeks. But as I said, you know, stay safe and stay well and be happy. I'll just see if there's any more questions there, just in case anyone's asked me a question. No, I think it's all thank yous. So no, that's really nice. And I hope, Peter, it's answered your question. And I hope, Linda, that any anxiety you were feeling is now gone and it's done for good, and see what happens. And please let me know, Linda, how you've been feeling. Okay, it's important to me. It's also important to the College of Medicine that you give me some feedback on these webinars, because you know they've invited me to do these, and I'm pleased to do it. But obviously they want to know that it's of some benefit, and I'm not just talking to myself every week. Okay, so anyway, stay safe, be happy, have a wonderful week, and remember, I'll be here again 4 o'clock next Friday if you want to join me. The recordings of these will go out on YouTube and on my website, so you can if you if you've got friends who couldn't make this webinar and you think it's worth them watching it, they can find it there. Okay. So a couple of questions just quickly before we say goodbye. How important is to follow all the information in the stop smoking protocol? Can you make a shorter version and improvise and still get results? That's from Stig Olive, London. Well, yes, you can. I mean, people have been using my arrow technique just for smoking and getting results, and that's like 5 or 10 minutes. Personally, if I'm working with a smoker, I want to be sure that I've dealt with the underlying programming, and I do that with parts negotiation. So yes, you can do it in a short. There are three. Let me say this quickly. There are 3 beliefs that hold people to the smoking habit. One is the belief they can't quit. One is the belief they're addicted, and 3 is that it's doing something for them. If you let your client go out of that room with any of those beliefs intact, they are going to still smoke. So if you want to ask me the question at some other point, I'll explain how we break down those 3 beliefs. But it's not hard to do. Amanda's saying, I'm talking so much sense. Oh, right, it's nice of you to say so. And most of our worries are not real. You're absolutely right. Thanks, and I hope you enjoyed this as well. And thanks again for introducing me to the College of Medicine. Okay, and thank you, Daisy, for being here. And you know, it's nice for you to give me some feedback. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now for good, not for good, but to next week. If you have any questions, you can always ask me. Join my Facebook hypnosis group network if you want, where everyone involved in hypnosis is asking questions. And if I can help you, I will. Okay. But remember, it's just your imagination. If you're worrying about the future, remind yourself it's your imagination, and then imagine something else and see what happens. Okay. Stay well. Bye for now.